Hey guys, welcome back to General Chemistry. Today we're going to introduce the basic properties of gases. So before we can dive into these gas laws and start doing calculations with them, we need to just kind of get a baseline of the properties of gases that we're going to be discussing. So first, there's many different types of gases. So there can be elements. So we can talk about argon, helium. We can talk about our diatomics, nitrogen, hydrogen. Those would all be gases in their elemental form. We could talk about gases as compounds. So carbon dioxide is probably the easiest to think about. Um, so if you think about carbon dioxide, we have detectors in our houses because that is an odorless, invisible gas, right? We can't see it, but we know that it's harmful. You can think about water as a gas, right? So when we boil water, it becomes steam. That is still H2O molecules. It's just changed its state. It's in the gas form. When we think about those gases, there's going to be four basic properties of a gas. We're going to look at these four properties in our basic gas laws, and then we're going to combine all four of them together in our ideal gas law. But let's just chip away at each one of them. So the first one is pressure. Pressure is going to be given in units of ATM. Remember, pressure is just the collisions with the side of the container. That's how we register a pressure measurement. So if you think about tire pressure, for example, as the gas particles collide with the inside of that tire, that's creating that pressure that your tire feels. If we want to reach in and measure that, the unit that we're going to use as chemists is ATM. We can talk about the volume of a gas. So remember, gases fill the entirety of their container. So certainly there's a volumetric measurement to that. When we deal with the measurement of volume for gases, it's going to have to be in the unit of liters. Okay. We can talk about the temperature of a gas sample. Of course, we can heat up a gas sample and cool it down just like we do anything else. But the unit has to be in what? Has to be in Kelvin. Even if they give it to you in Celsius in the problem, you have to convert that to Kelvin, or the mathematics are not going to work out. So temperature, Kelvin. And then we're going to talk about the amount of different particles. So the amount, as chemists, we will always deal with the unit of moles. So we're talking about how much of something we have. We as chemists use the unit for moles. So anytime it says how much of a gas, moles is going to be incorporated. Okay. All of these properties are interrelated. So when one of them changes, it will affect the other ones. So what we're going to do first with what are simple gas laws is we're going to look at two of these basic properties, holding the other two constant. So for example, in the first one, we're going to look at how pressure and volume are related to one another. So that means our sample is going to be held at a constant temperature, and it's going to be a closed sample. We're not going to add or subtract any gas to it. The amount is going to remain constant as well. So we look at two of them, hold two of them constant. Once we get through our simple gas laws, we'll then take all four of these and combine them together into one formula, and we'll get to see this interrelatedness. So that's called the ideal gas law, and we'll pull all four of the properties together. So that's your introduction to the basic properties of gases. Here again is your introduction to simple gas laws. So the next series of videos is going to go through each one of these individually, so each one will have its own lecture video. But here is what we're looking at for Boyle's law. We're going to look at that relationship between pressure and volume. That means temperature and moles are held constant. Then we can move on to Charles' law, where we look at volume again, but we're looking at its relationship with temperature. So that means pressure is constant, amount is constant. And lastly, we'll talk about Avogadro's law. Again, we're going to deal with volume, but we're going to look at how volumes are related to the amount, the number of moles. So that means pressure and temperature are held constant in that case. So just a little preview of where we're going. That's your introduction to the basic properties and the simple gas laws. I hope you guys found this helpful.